A few years ago, I showed you how to make these modern wooden garden planters, but things have moved on and times have changed. So today, I'm going to show you how to make something even more modern, all out of steel with a nice roll top, all planted in England colours to celebrate our win over Norway last night in the quarterfinals. Come on, England. We're in the middle of another heat wave and it's blimmin' warm in the workshop. So I thought this week I'm going to work outside. So I've got a bit of a cover up, and at least when I'm welding and grinding, there's less chance of anything catching on fire, especially when I'm welding those fumes. At least that will blow it away. So the first conundrum I've got with these boxes is what size steel I'm going to use. And when I say size, I mean thickness, because if you use something that's really thin, obviously when you fill it full of earth and water, it's going to bend out. But if you use something fairly thick, then you can't bend it. And these are the two options I've got. I've got a 1mm sheet of steel and I've got a 2mm. Now 2mm sheet steel is obviously going to keep its shape a lot better when I fill it full of soil and water, or a combination of the two. However, 2mm thick steel you can't actually bend by hand, even if you use a steel brake. And in this project, I do want to do some bending of steel. So I'm sort of forced to use the thinner steel, and therefore, when it starts bending, I'm going to have to reinforce it. So I've also got a little bit of angle iron here that should help me do that. Now, the size of sheet steel that I've got is 2 meters long by 1 meter wide. That seems to be the standard size of sheet steel. And the planters I'm going to make are going to be 700 millimeters wide, and there's a good reason for that you'll find out later. 400 high and 300 deep, and I'm going to make 2 of them. So all of those sections I need to cut out of this one sheet, and to do that I'm going to use my brand new super duper Evolution steel saw, which will hopefully cut through this sheet, maybe. These planters are essentially 4 pieces of steel welded into a box shape. Yeah, my monster saw. And this is the very first cut. But for me to be able to weld the steel at the corners, they need to touch over the full length. So it's essential that the sheets I'm cutting here are square, consistent and millimetre perfect, or else I'm going to have a real problem later on fixing everything together. So I've recently purchased this Evolution steel cut-in circular saw that with an adapter can run on your standard Makita or Parkside type rail. If you're interested in how this performs and its pros and cons, watch next week's tools and effects video where I'll give you my take on it and whether, if you're doing any metalwork, I think you should invest in one. But before you see that, obviously running along a track does make the cut straight, and it's even possible to trim a few millimeters off of an edge, just like you would with timber using a plunge saw. The whole cutting process actually went really quick, and the last couple of cuts here are of the thicker 2mm steel that I'm intending to use for the bottom of the planter, which will take the weight of the soil. So that's all the cutting done, and what you've just seen me do is just tidy up the edges a little bit with a grinder there. And as I said earlier, if you want to see how I got on with that steel cutting track saw, have a look at my video next week on the Tools and Effects channel. I'll tell you all about it. Bit of a spoiler alert. Look at this. This is 4 panels. All should be exactly the same, and I'm probably within a millimetre of each one. So yeah, really happy with that. So what I want to do now is to actually bend some steel. Now this is 1mm thick steel, and it is possible to bend with one of these sort of steel clamps that you sort of just put on the side, clamp it as hard as you can and bend it around, but you're not going to get a very good finish with that. And especially if you're bending a long length, something like this isn't going to bend regularly. Now to do that, what you really need is one of these, which is called a bending brake. And essentially what you do is you put a little bit of steel in there, you clamp it down, and then when you pull this bar up, it actually bends the steel. Now there is one little challenge to this, which is if you pull this up to 90 degrees, say, when you back off, the steel will bend back maybe up to 70 degrees. So to get a 90-degree bend, you need to go beyond 90 by a certain amount, which I'm not really sure of at the moment, hoping that when you back off, it springs back to 90. So there's a certain amount of suck it and see it, and I've never used one of these before, so that's something I'm going to have to get used to. But I've already tried my first trial, and this is what I'm trying to achieve. What I've got here is two bends, one after the other, a 10mm bend and then a 20. So I want this at the top of the planter for two reasons. Firstly, so it's sort of nice to touch. No one's sort of going to get their hands cut. That's quite a nice finish. But secondly, it adds a huge amount of strength to the steel. This is the same piece of steel, as you can see, which is all wibbly wobbly. Obviously, as soon as you put a bend like that in it, it's absolutely solid. I can't move that at all. So it gives a huge amount of strength along the top of the planter, and I'm going to do that around all four sides if I can get this to work, because it is my first time. I've wanted a steel bending brake for some time now, and doing a project like this now gives me the perfect excuse I've been looking for to justify buying one. I bought mine from Machine Mart, and it's the 720mm wide version. So that's the reason why my planters are going to be 700mm wide, because any wider I wouldn't be able to get the steel to fit into the brake. Rather than measuring and marking the amount of bend, I'm using a combination square reference from the front edge to make sure that each bend is square to the steel plate and consistent with the others. With everything clamped down hard, I can make the bend, but you do need a decent heavy-duty workbench to bolt this brake to, or else you're really going to struggle. I found on the wider 700mm bends that the ends would bend to, say, 90 degrees, while the middle would then sit at 70 or 80. So I did sometimes have to give it a little bit of an adjustment in the middle with the hand bender. With this brake, you can set where you want the upper clamp to be, giving it a tighter or more rounded bend. I set it back about 3 or 4mm, giving me more gentle rounded bends, which I think looks nicer. This 1mm thick steel is, I think, just about the maximum thickness that I would be happy to bend in this manually. Once I understand what I need to do and prove to myself I can replicate it, I carry on with the rest. Actually, that went pretty well. And looking at it, oh, happy with that. Can you see that? That gives it huge strength and really quite nicely rounded as well. That, for the first one, has come out very well. But don't worry, I've got another 7 I can cock up. What? Can you guess what it is yet? Oh no, you mustn't make jokes about that anymore, must we? I did realise at this point that I started with the hardest, longest sides. Maybe my learning curve would have been easier if I'd tackled the short sides first. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Because when I did bend these, they were really easy in comparison. Not bad. Because of the bends, where the plates come together at the corners, there's now a conflict. So I decide to miter these, and for the first time in years, my 1960s style wooden miter block comes out of retirement, which, combined with a hacksaw, worked incredibly well. Now's the time to do some welding and finally get all of this assembled. But before I do that, I just want to show you how this whole thing fits together. These are two sides of the planter. I've obviously got another two sides, one that will go here and one that will finish to form the box. But obviously I'm going to have soil and water and everything else in here, so I'm going to have a bottom to stop it all falling out. So what I intend to do with these angles is to weld a bit on the end there and a bit on the side. Then I've cut these bottoms. This is out of 2mm thick steel, so this is a lot heavier weight, and I've obviously put some holes in it for drainage, and all that's going to do is fall in there and just sit on that angle. I'm not going to weld it in, it doesn't need it. Self weight will just keep it where it is, and then the soil can go in there. But one of the challenges in welding thin sheet steel is most welders will just blow it apart. By the time you've got enough heat for the weld to take, if you've got thin sheet steel, by that time it's already melted and it's just blown apart. So today I'm going to be using my laser welder. This is the LaserLab X1 Pro that you might have seen in other videos on my Tools and Effects channel. And the great thing about a laser welder is that the laser is incredibly fine and the heat is in a really small position, exactly where it needs to be. So it tends not to overheat. And as long as you're careful, it's completely possible to weld thin sheet steel in a way that a lot of TIG and MIG welders just can't cope with. Having said that, I do actually want to weld right up against this corner seam here, which could be a little bit challenging. And if I have a problem with that, and I'll only find out when I start welding, I need to cut some more angle. And what I'll do is I'll just pop it in the corner just to reinforce the corners. I'd rather not do that, but if I need it, that's what I need to do. So, time to get welding. This laser welder is an incredible machine, and although I know it's expensive and outside of most DIYers' budgets, I have it and I'm going to use it. Here I've set it to what's called pulse. That gives me a string of what looks like tack welds, which keeps down the heat but still gives me the strength I need. As the welding wire is fed through the nozzle, it actually pushes you along at whatever speed you set the wire feed on. So you end up with welds that are uniform, and even a novice welder like me can produce some stunning looking welds. It's not long before my planters start taking shape, although up to this point I hadn't actually tried fitting the bottom section. Oh, let's see if it actually fits, shall I? Hey. Hey. That is the finished product. I can now grind all the welds down and sand everything with my random orbit sander with a coarse paper. I also sand all the sides, giving the steel a sort of brushed type finish, and I also remove any burn marks. My intention for these planters was to have a different type of finish, but at this point I like the brushed steel finish so much I want to try to keep them that way. So I clean them with a degreaser, which really cleans them surprisingly well, and decide, as a bit of a trial, to use a clear lacquer on them. Now I know there's a very good chance that this doesn't hold back the rust over time, but I'm going to try it anyway as an experiment. If they do start rusting and looking a bit rubbish, I'll accelerate the process by using my Core 10 style rust potion, so at least they'll match the garden edging I installed a few weeks ago. So after 2 or 3 coats of that clear lacquer, and I've actually lined the inside with some plastic just to keep the moisture away from the steel and the welds, I think they've come out really good. What do you think? They are really smart, I think. Not so good in the middle of your lawn, but this is the final shot, so I had to make it look nice. Hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you next time.